Hello and welcome to the unofficial BSHL Senior Hockey League podcast. I'm your host, Corey, joined with my co-host, Corey.
Good day. How are you today?
How's are you? It's good. Yeah, man, doing all right. We record the podcast on StreamYard for the interviews or anything that's not super local. So I log in today and there's a bunch of changes to StreamYard. So I was messing around with them and some interesting stuff. Higher quality.
He's still messing around with them.
Yeah, I am. Higher quality. Hopefully it leads us to a higher quality podcast for all of our listeners. And so we've had a few announcements this week, Corey. Do you want to start with announcements or do you want to shoot the shit a little bit?
Host choice. What do you want to do?
Let's shoot shit. We've been hanging out a lot. We've been going to some Steamers games. What did we do last week? I feel like, okay. So Wildcats. We went to a couple Steamers games 2 weeks ago. Last weekend, we got together for the Wildcats preseason game, which, man, not as many people as I expected. I thought it was going to be a little more crowded than that.
Same here. I was really shocked by that turnout.
Good crowd.
A lot of familiar faces, BSHL fans, and it's just fun to go back to the rink. You know, we're as of this recording, we are a month away.
We are 4 weeks. When this goes out, it'll be 29 days.
I cannot wait.
It's pretty exciting. We were there for the Cats Inter-Squad game. We're both Cats fans, so always fun. One of the announcements this week is actually a former Wildcat.
Mm-hmm.
It's a pretty big one, too.
Pretty big.
Let's get into that first. So, Dalhousie came out first with a couple announcements. So, Vincent Savoie is coming to the Marauders. He has played in the CRL, I believe, in Kedgwick. So, a big signing. I know some Dalhousie fans reached out to me. They were pretty excited with that one. And then, literally a big signing. Chad Denny, who's not a small guy, is back in Dalhousie again this year. I love watching Chad play. I watched him play junior way back in the day with the Lewiston Maniacs, I believe they were called. Chad's awesome, nice guy.
Fan favorite too. I remember going to Dalhousie and a lot of people were there just for Chad Denny.
Yeah, a lot of people love Chad. So I think a lot of people are there for the Marauders entirely, but also they know Chad.
Yeah, I know, but they were there screaming for Chad.
They were screaming for Chad. So anyway,
we were chanting for Vaicourt and for Jessica and for the entire Marauders.
We were chanting? I don't know if you might have been chanting. Was that before or after they poured beer on your head?
That might have been before.
Before you were in a bad mood afterwards.
Then I was like, go Lumberjacks.
I think that was actually against the JCs when that happened.
It's possible.
Ricky was there.
Yeah, Ricky, I think I scared the bejesus out of him
so
I don't know if we ever told that story on the podcast, but it was an accident, but beer got spilled on me as I was doing the live stream. And if you go back to watch the live stream, you can hear my potty mouth.
It was in the middle of a live stream. We were standing below the people that stand around, like behind the net where Dalhousie goaltenders are twice, and somebody just poured beer on Corey's head, and I was sitting down, relaxing, watching a hockey game. All right, like I'm just sitting there, life's good, nobody's bothering me, and all of a sudden I hear Corey start screaming, and I shot up faster than a fat man should ever shoot up out of a seat. And then I realized that someone just poured beer on Corey's head. So then I found that clip and I cut it out and I made Corey listen to it over and over the whole drive home. That's kind of what I do.
And to be fair, since you made fun of me like that, I'm going to make you do extra work. You're going to have to put that clip at the end of this episode.
Oh, man, it's some bad words were said, though.
Bad words? Well, there you go.
I'll find it. I'll find it and I'll put it at the end of this episode because it's a pretty funny one that's never been aired before. So
pretty funny. It's aired. It's on the live stream.
It's aired on the live stream. It's never been on this podcast. Rum 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 was on the live stream, but then we brought it to the podcast. Rum Rum is my favorite one, probably. Either that or it's a really tall kid.
That's all joke down, by the way.
Yeah, well, not the beer. The beer was Dalhousie. So that'll be at the very end of this episode, if I remember. If I don't remember, Adam or somebody needs to let me know, and I'll add it next week. I don't know. I've got a bad memory. I've got such a bad memory. Like when we did the Dalhousie review, I wanted to put that the song that Babas did on that one again, and I forgot. Like my memory is just not what it used to be, man. I'm telling you, I'm getting old. So Chad Denny back with the Marauders. The third announcement was just a massive announcement that just dropped tonight.
Yep.
With former Wildcat once again, Kelsey Tessier signing on with les Corsairs du Péninsule Acadien. Corey, talk to me a bit about that.
I remember him from the Wildcats. He's a great player. This could be a game changer. If I'm not going to lie to you, this is huge.
I agree. He's a 34-year-old forward. I believe he's a center. He was drafted in 2008, fourth round, 110th overall by the Colorado Avalanche. He played with the Wildcats and the Remparts. Then he went on to play with the Connecticut Whale, played in the Swedish League, played in the French League. I mean, this guy's kind of been everywhere. He's a local to Lemec. He played some minor hockey in Lemec. And I'll tell you, it's a good thing that he's local to Lemec because he would not have fit the bill as an import. He couldn't play as an import. In the same way that John Hardy has played too high of a level of hockey, so he has to be a local in Miramichi to play, which he is, and he will be playing. I'm extremely excited about that because I love John Hardy. He's a great player and a super nice guy. Same thing for Tessier. Tessier played too high of a level. So is this the biggest signing so far this offseason, Corey?
Off the top of my head, it has to be.
Definitely, I think the biggest. Amherst has made some splashes.
Here's the thing. Are we talking bigger or more shocking? Because Ryu going to the Hawks was pretty shocking because we know the hatred between the Lumberjacks and the Hawks. Also, Benji Curtis and the Lumberjack boys going to Miramichi, we know that rivalry too. You know, John Hardy going over there. And those are shocking. This one's like a huge name. Not to say that the other boys aren't huge names. This one's kind of a game changer.
I agree with you. I think Thomas Casey going to Amherst was also like a whoa. That's a big sign. This is a game changer. I think this really should open some eyes to what the peninsula is coming at you with this year. It's rare that you see one signing and then you have to take a look and go, okay, well, who's the best team in the league right now?
Don't even ask me that question. I keep going back and forth. Like, what scares me is the Hawks are going to be a very good team. They've
only announced 5 guys so far.
They've only announced 5 guys. You know, the usual suspects will be there.
Sure.
You know, the big names from the Hawks. But what do they add? You know, the biggest problems with the Hawks last year was in goaltending. They fixed consistency in
goaltending. And I don't like to pile on to anybody, but I don't think that was Daigle's fault. So just read between the lines. There was some shaky goaltending for the Hawks for sure. I think Daigle almost got them into the second round. Frankly, he played out of his mind with a short roster in River Valley that night. And maybe the only reason they didn't win that game was a guy who they just signed, Jason Ryu.
Exactly.
Yeah. That's what's scary. Miramichi only has like 4 or 5 guys announced, and you know that they always come hard. They're going to be a massive team with some big signings.
Yep.
They've only got a few announcements, and those announcements including John Hardy. Crazy to me. The Hawks, like you said, the usual suspects are going to be back. You got to think Trey Lewis is not done playing hockey. Trey Lewis is such a talented guy, such a nice guy. And then you've got some other guys. I mean, the only question mark, in my opinion, is Sawyer going to be back? We don't know. He's definitely been spending a lot of his time in Nashville over the course of the last few years, just for business reasons. And I assume that's going to continue. He's a busy guy. So if anybody's done, I would say possibly Sawyer. But as far as age-related reasons, the core players in the Hawks team are still early 30s, mid 30s at the most. Some of them are in their 20s. You look at like Elijah Francis and some of those younger guys. Man, I want to see more announcements. If anybody's listening to this from the Hawks team,
we're begging you.
Please give us some more announcements. We want to know more. Next week, we're going to be previewing the Mirror Machine Northmen. We're going to be bringing on, it was supposed to be David Morrison, but we actually are bringing on Doug White. So the president of the Northmen, which should be interesting. I'm definitely going to be pressing him for a couple more names. Like, come on, man. Just after we're done recording, whisper a couple into the mic so I know who's coming. But yeah, Kelsey Tessier signing with the Peninsula. And I said, wow, what a huge signing. And Tracy was next to me and she's like, a lot of these signings are huge signings, though. She's not right. Wrong. I mean, the Peninsula is going to be a powerhouse team. And right now, the only card that they've used is one Junior A card. And even then, he was playing last year in Shippigan. So,
yeah.
With Dallin Belger, who's a phenomenal player, just so gritty and can score some goals. So if he just keeps coming back to the Peninsula, he's a local in my mind. They're going to love him this year in Tracadie and in Shippigan. So they've still got an import to sign.
Yeah.
Because Danny Chiasson was ruled as a local for having played some minor hockey, I believe, in Lamech. So we're just, again, seeing people all within the rules and the context of the league rules. As long as you played minor hockey in an area, you can play. So Kelsey Tessier played some minor hockey in Lamech. Welcome to the league, Kelsey Tessier. I think right now he's like a skills development coach with the Moncton Wildcats, right? So he's been local for a couple of years. I think he retired not last season, the season before, from playing in French.
Okay.
In French. He was playing in French. He was literally skating in French. He wasn't shooting. Il tirait la rondelle. It was amazing.
If you wanted to watch that and you didn't speak French, you need to put the little captions on.
Yeah, he had the captions
playing in
on.
French.
He was playing in French. He was playing in France, and I'm a dipshit. But yeah, no, big signing. I don't know who I still give, if I have to give the edge to anybody, I'm still giving it to Dalhousie because of the chemistry.
Yep.
That team is the same team that we saw last year. They're going to be playing probably a lot of the same lines, and that's a scary team on the ice.
Mm-hmm.
This week,
if I had to pick one, if I'd have to give the edge to someone, I'd say next question.
Next, yeah, you're always dodging questions. That's your problem.
I'm the dodger.
This week we're going to be previewing the Bouctouche JCs, a team that a few years ago we definitely were not big fans of. Being from Richard-Bucto, Saint Louis for you, unfortunately for you, Saint Louis, he's rough.
Yeah, I agree.
I'm just kidding. I love St. Louis. I was there today. The Hawks JC's rivalry back then, especially, was really something. So,
even last season,
oh, yeah.
it seems the JCs always have that little twinkle in their eye when they face the Hawks. Beating the Hawks seems to be a badge of honor to them. They just enjoy it. So I remember that overtime goal where the Hawks thought they had scored, but they didn't, and then right down the other way and they scored. You thought they won the cup. And then there's that great game that I missed where the Hawks made a miraculous comeback.
Huge comeback. That snowstorm game.
Yeah, the snowstorm game. It's always fun to see. Sure, I was not a fan of the JCs 2 years ago. I've grown to really enjoy the JCs. I don't know if it's the underdog story that they had last year and probably going into this year, but I don't know. They're a team. They haven't won much, like never won the cup, and it's something that I would enjoy to see.
A lot of my friends are JC's fans. I think about like my former teacher, Jim, Ricky. Just when I go to Bouctouche, there's a lot of people that I know either from hockey or outside of hockey. So I want to see the JCs do well this year for all those people for sure. And I think, if you're looking at the team, you have to tell yourself, did they get better this year? In my opinion, they got a lot better this year.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
So we'll get into some of the names. We have, do you want to get into who's coming back right away? Let's do that. So Jacques Cormier was announced early on as a returning player. Jacques been playing
returning from 2 years ago. He wasn't there last year.
Wasn't there last year. He's coming back. Matt Newcomb as well, returning from 2 years ago.
Just right there, you've made your team that much better.
Incredibly
with
better.
These two. You got one of the best leaders in the league and a goal scorer to boot.
100%. Then you've got guys coming back from last year and the year before, and just perennial JCs like Dan LeBlanc, Matt Bernier, Alexi Guitar, Logan Timmins, who
probably the guy that I'm gonna have my eyes on the entire game, because that guy was a highlight reel. He impressed me so much.
He's a great player, super nice guy, funny guy.
Yep.
But especially as the season progressed, he said it himself. Like he came into the year not necessarily out of shape, but he really got into shape a few games in. And his hands, my God. Mm-hmm. So when I think about this kid playing with Matt Newcomb, it's going to be an interesting. I want to see what the lineup looks like. I want to see what the lines are.
Do you see a lineup of Newcomb, Timmins, and Cormier?
Maybe for power plays, you could see that. I think you want to spread it out a little on the regular lineup, but if you hit the power play, why not load it up? Obviously, they brought in some junior kids. So Nick Bassrash is coming from the King Coyotes. Zach LeBlanc is going to be backing up Alex Collette, who will also be back this year. Like, again, has this team gotten better this offseason? 100% they've gotten better this offseason. Mm-hmm. I think they're going to be that underdog team that could surprise some people. They're the Shippigan team last year.
Here's the thing with Bouctouche.
Yeah.
Their storyline will go in one of two directions. Either they're a young team and they just get outmatched, or what we all hope they're going to be is that underdog that surprises everybody. Everybody makes it to the playoffs. All right, everybody. If Bouctouche can get past that first round, now we're talking. Because now anything's possible. You got the jitters for the first round gone. What can you do now?
Again, the reason that I give a slight edge to Dalhousie overall in the league is that chemistry. There's a lot of chemistry here in Bouctouche.
You're not wrong there.
No, there's a lot of chemistry in Bouctouche, though. These are a lot of guys that have been playing together for a few years. Some of these guys, as we heard Logan Timmins mention in his interview a couple months ago, play ball hockey together in the Goodies Ball Hockey League in Moncton. These are people that are friends on and off the ice. They're going to play for each other. They're going to play hard. And we haven't even mentioned, these guys added 2 new co-coaches. So you've got Marc LeBlanc and Ryan Salvis, who are going to bring a wealth of experience, knowledge, leadership to this team. I'm not saying that I think Bouctouche is going to be one of the best teams in the league. I'm just saying don't sleep on them. Yep. They're going to push. They're not going to be an easy win. And if they got out of the first round, look at the Lumberjacks last year. Yep. Going into the year, if I would have told you, the River Valley Lumberjacks are going to be in the finals for the league against Dalhousie, and they're going to win the first 2 games of the finals and put a little fear in Dalhousie, you'd have been like, bullshit, they're going to do that. There's no way. Not that they were a bad team, just that nobody expected that. People aren't expecting anything out of Bouctouche. That's a perfect place to be. There's no pressure. Now go out and surprise everybody.
And you got that ace in the hole in net. Oh, Alex, the team can be horrible and still get a W thanks to Alex Collette.
100%. We've seen this guy face 50 shots and make 48 saves. Like it's kind of ridiculous how good Alex Collette is. And it can't be understated that this is a team that has depth, some veterans with a good mix of young talent that are only going to get better as the year goes on. I can't wait to get to the JK. We're not going to be at the JC's game on opening night because we're going to be in the Peninsula.
Yep.
Last year I was in Miramichi with Cheryl and Tracy. You were on your last day of work.
Yep.
Opening night in the league is special this year. All 6 teams
I'm kicking myself last year for not doing it. I didn't think this would get this big
Why do you doubt me? I think we got lucky.
Again.
We got lucky that we got the support of the league, the support of a lot of the fans, and we're very privileged to be in the position that we are. Yeah. But last year, that game in Miramichi was electric. This year, we've got three amazing Shoegate. This year, we've got three amazing games on opening night. It doesn't matter if you're in Amherst, you're in the Peninsula, you're in Miramichi. There's going to be some damn good hockey on that opening night. Yep. One of the teams that I think could pick up that first win is the Bouctouche JCs.
Yep, and they most certainly could. The JCs is the one team. I'm not supporting any team, but if there's one team that I'm kind of hoping, like, come on, surprise us.
You're a JCs fan?
I'm a JCs fan.
I get you, though. I love those stories of teams that everybody's talking about. We had a post a couple weeks ago where everybody was talking about teams that are going to be amazing, and everybody's like, oh, Dalhousie. And then they were talking about Amherst, and people were like, oh, you can't sleep on Miramichi. And then some people mentioned the Hawks. I don't know if anybody mentioned the JCs, but I wasn't commenting in it because I was like, let's just let people talk. I have no issue letting people voice their opinion as long as they're nice to each other.
Yeah.
And I do agree that there's some front runners in this league, and I don't really, it's hard to nail down who's the best team. But nobody was talking about the JCs, and I was like, I think they're going to surprise some people this year. I know Ricky would love that.
Yeah. I wish I actually talked to you about this a while ago, or maybe actually just this
whoa. We're not bringing that up in this podcast, right?
What?
Are we talking about the horses?
The horses?
I'm just fucking with you. You should see his face right now. He's like, what are you talking about?
I was talking about with Corey how there's no like website histories on old titles, old championships, because according to Ricky, and Ricky's like, if you ask me anything about wrestling, professional wrestling, I can probably 9 times out of 10, I'm probably going to give you a good answer.
Or you're going to lie and we're going to assume it's true, and then we'll fact check you, and you'll be wrong. Yeah, thank God.
Ricky Bastrash is that with senior hockey, and anytime I can be alone with Ricky and just pick his brain about senior hockey, and the one thing that always stuck with me, because he is a huge JCs fan, and I asked him once, how many titles did the JCs have? And he's like, none. Didn't even take him a second to think about it. He's like, none. And that to me was shocking, because the JCs are a very good team, very good organization, probably my favorite building in the league. Like, they have a great barn. I have a lot of friends.
Not even a barn, it's a friggin' castle. It's a beautiful ring.
I have a lot of friends that are JCs fans, and my Hawks fandom, when I was just a fan, not a podcaster, I got to see them win the cup in 2023. I'd like to see the JCs take it. I really would. 1 year. Is it going to be this year? Probably not. But if it happens, man, sign me up for it.
You just don't you want those short drives to Bouctouche in the finals. That's what you really want. And you want popcorn chicken. Don't you lie to me. No, you're actually a cheeseburger and Bouctouche guy.
I like their hot dogs too.
Their hot dogs are
good. They have a great poutine, actually.
Bouctouche is kind of flies under the radar, and nobody talks about how good their food is, but their food's dang good. And cheap.
Their food's really good.
Really cheap.
Yeah.
What do you get every time you go there for your mom?
Popcorn.
Corey's mom lives about 2 minutes from the rink, and she loves popcorn and bedant, but that's beside the point. She loves popcorn. So Corey, every time we go to the rink, or anytime he remembers to think about his poor mother who brought him into this world and loves him so much, my God, the least you could do, he goes to the canteen and he picks up popcorn for his mom. They have these amazing, it's really good bags of popcorn that are cheap. I think it's like $2.50, $3. Something
like that, yeah.
Yeah, it's not expensive. And he brings one home to his mom. And when she knows he's at the rink in Bouctouche, sometimes you pop in there before the game. She's like, get me popcorn. So we went to the Wildcats game, and Corey went and bought some popcorn for his mom. And she was over the moon when you texted her that picture.
Mm-hmm. And she's like, I'll share it with you. I didn't get a single.
You didn't get any?
I didn't get any.
That's a sad story right there.
No, it's fine. She loves her popcorn, and I'm fat enough as it is.
Oh, settle down. You've lost lots of weight in the last couple of years. You're
I've
looking great.
gained a lot of weight back. Work was hell. All I did was work and eat.
You're winding down the season now, though. You've got 3 weeks left-ish, 3.5
Yep.
weeks.
I cannot wait. I am counting down the days.
And then next spring we'll hear him counting down the days to start again.
Yeah.
It's not an easy schedule, especially it seems like the first season and the beginning of the second season, in my experience with friends who worked in shops or things like that, the hours are long.
Oh, big time. Last
it's-
season might have been one of the longest season we've had. I'm still benefiting. Like, I got to save money off that first season, which
Yeah.
is something with how the economy is and all that, how everything's gone up and all that. Last few years have been a struggle.
Yeah.
And
so this year won't be as much because you had a good
not
season.
as bad. Yeah, I had a
But
good
those
season.
hours are tough, man. Like you guys are doing 12, 13-hour days, 5-6 days a week.
Round the end, I got a little. There were days where I'd be like, "Geez, I'm kind of depressed, and I don't know why." Well, you're not sleeping a lot.
You're not getting
waking
much
up,
sunlight.
not getting a lot of sunlight, and you're waking up at 5 in the morning, and you're still going to bed at 11 and 12 at night. So, and that's just my fault. I get excited about things, and I start watching things on YouTube and studying things for wrestling and hockey and senior hockey, something that I've been gorging on for a while now. So
Where we were going with the conversation about Ricky, and we led to that, was you were asking questions about the history of the
history
League.
And just wanting to know the history of who won the league, the Acadie Chaleur and the league before the BSHL, which was called
The NESHL.
NESHL.
Northeast Senior Hockey League.
And even before that, all the leagues, there should be a website that tracks that history down.
I know Ghislain Mercier has a lot of history, does a lot of stuff for shipping, and Mark Richardson's an amazing wealth of knowledge for Tracadie. Or now I should say they're both for Les Corsairs du Péninsule Acadienne. I can't wait to see how these shipping and Tracadie fans get along. I'm just going to be there as a neutral party like, hi, everyone. Nice to see you all again. I have missed you all. There's just a lot of really, really nice people out that way that we've gotten to know, and I'm really happy to be back out there again this year. But, a lot of people out that way do know that history. Charles Austin's another guy who knows a lot of that history. Yeah. So if you can fill Corey Vautour in with some of that information, he will be forever grateful. Yeah. And maybe we'll share a little bit of it on the podcast, because I think it would be a very interesting episode talking about the history of senior hockey in northern New Brunswick, because it's truly like a religion in the peninsula. It can't be understated. They're so passionate about senior hockey. No rink, even the finals, was more fun than Game 7, Round 1, Shippingen versus Tracadie. The fans, it was just an unbelievable. I enjoyed it so much I didn't even have an anxiety attack. I should have had an anxiety attack. There was people everywhere. I'm an anxious dipshit.
What time was it when the game finished? It's like 11. It's like 11 at night, and we're going into double overtime.
Yeah.
So it's one of these things that I agree. Probably the most memorable and probably the most fun game all playoffs was that Game 7. I don't know, just up north, they got some special fans, and going back to the cups and all that, my history of it, I'm relatively new to this. The first cup I saw was the Hawks winning the BSHL. The second cup I saw was Dalhousie winning it. That's it. So I'd like to know that history, and it's so difficult to find.
Yeah, it's not easy to find. I mean, I go back to the Richard-Bucto Meb 2000 and the Rum Runners and things like that. But again, I was a casual fan. I'd go to some games. I wouldn't follow it a ton. I'm an anxious guy. I'd kind of stop going. If nobody wanted to go, it was fine with me. But I always kept an eye and followed. Never as much as we have the last 2 years, though.
No.
Went to the first game in Elsipogtog last year, or a couple of years ago, alone, which was really the first season after the pandemic in my mind. I know there was some hockey before that, but
game was with the JCs, right?
The first game was against,
it was the JCs.
Was it
because
JC's or was it Miramichi? Miramichi was game 2? I don't even remember. But
the
game 2
I went to, yeah,
and then we haven't looked back.
I remember Corey being like big Hawks fan from Bouctouche, you know. Didn't expect to do this podcast and just become a fan of every team. But I remember Corey likes to mess with me. So I'll
I have no idea what you're talking about.
No idea. Corey was like, yeah, I'm going to follow the Hawks this year because they're right in my backyard. And I'm like, yeah, I might follow the JCs. And he's like, those are the rivals. I'm like, yeah.
Corey's such a punk bitch. I mean, let's just be honest here. He just loves to fuck with people. But the moral of the story is we'd love to get more of that history. So if anybody wants to share that with us or come on the podcast and talk about it, the door is always open to anybody that's a huge hockey fan who is a historian, knows a lot of that history and wants to talk about it. Because when we talk to Charles Austin about it, it's one of my favorite things when he says, the Alpines, and he always says it, and if you've ever talked to Charles about it, he gets like this glimmer in his eye, like he loves it. And he says, like, the Alpines are like the Montreal Canadiens to me. And I totally get that. Like, I totally get that. That's how important senior hockey is in Northern New Brunswick. A lot of kids grow up and they want to play senior hockey. They obviously want to play a higher level of hockey, but they want to play senior hockey with the track of the Alpines or les Marchands de Chipagon or
La Corsano.
Les Corsards. Very interesting. I liked when you messaged me that question because I was like, I have no idea. And I don't know if there's anywhere to get it. It's if somebody wants to start a website, that would be great. It ain't going to be me, but I'd love that. Because the other day we were talking about maritime wrestling and the history of maritime wrestling, and I went on some website, punched in a couple things, managed to find these matches from like 1911, just like what the cards
earliest
were.
One was 1905.
It's insane. I only wish there was that kind of a history for maritime hockey, but for New Brunswick senior hockey.
Yeah. It's funny how I get a day off, and instead of like if nobody will be able to see this, but Corey can see all these books in front of me. Those are all notebooks. A couple for wrestling, a couple for hockey, a couple of day planners, one for wrestling, one for hockey. I'm an old school guy, pen and paper all the way. Corey's the opposite. He does everything on his computer.
Yeah.
But I always like 1 second. Like I started watching Shoresy, which is hilarious.
Such a good show. Yeah.
Such a good show. And just watching that, I watch an episode, I watch 2 episodes, then all of a sudden I get an idea in my head. I'm like, huh. I think it was like the season. I can't spoil it actually, but there's something about a cup in there at some point. Very, very small little detail in one episode. And I was like, huh. I remember the BSHL Cup. I've seen the Acadie Chaleur Cup. What other cups have there been in the Maritimes or in New Brunswick? And that's when I messaged Corey that question because it's interesting to me because you're talking about some hockey players. That's the highlight of their careers. And there's no documented footage or no records about it. Like just maybe there's a picture of them with the cup, but it's something that's so lost and it should be found because it's important.
Yeah, I mean, it's not an easy thing to win a senior hockey championship in New Brunswick. No. There's a lot of competition. A lot of people go play seriously high-level hockey. And then when they retire from hockey to have a family and live close to their family, like Kelsey Tessier, they're not done playing hockey because they're still young, in great shape. They want to be competitive. Senior hockey is where they end up. And in the league now, we have so many guys that play Junior A, Junior B, QMJHL hockey, guys that got drafted to the NHL, went to tryouts, went to rookie camps, ended up playing high-level pro hockey. And now they're going to be playing in our backyards for $10 to $12 a week. Get out and support it, guys. Fill these rinks. That's what everybody wants to see. That's what everybody's playing for. It's so much more fun for them if they're playing inside of just a packed rink. So get out and support it. Agreed. We're getting passionate. We're talking about it, but we're only 4 weeks away, Corey.
I can't wait.
Yeah, it's going to be a great time. We'll be going back up to 2 episodes a week here in a few weeks so we can do our regular Tuesday recap, Thursday preview. But for now,
And
and
I will be starting the TikToks again.
he will be starting the TikToks. We're going to be live streaming some, not a ton during the regular season, but some. We'll amp up the live streams in the playoffs. But yeah, it's going to be some exciting times. We're just a few weeks away. Want to see some more announcements for some teams? Not naming names. Hawks, please give me some announcements. Miramichi, we're looking your way. We want to get a better understanding of what those teams are going to look like. We're going to be in Amherst a week from Saturday for their intra-squad games.
Yep.
Can't wait for that. Can't wait to get out there and
Can't
see
wait
some
to the
hockey.
arena.
Can't wait to see some BSHL hockey is what I'm excited
Ooh.
about. Hopefully some of the other teams have some intra-squad games that we can get to and cover. We're not going to be live streaming those. We might shoot a little bit of video, definitely be taking some pictures, and we'll be talking about it. So, yeah, hopefully anybody in Amherst or Spring Hill, Sackville, Moncton, get out and support the team. Meet some of the guys. There's some really great guys in Amherst, some very funny guys. So, yeah, Bouctouche JCs, we hope this is going to be a phenomenal year for them because it would be such a good storyline.
Yep. Could be the best.
Could be the best storyline in the league. Corey, we'll be back next week.
We sure will be.
All right. Talk to you soon.
Take care.
Fuck all this. How about not? Fuck are you doing? Fuck all this. How about not? Fuck are you doing? Fuck all this. How about not? Fuck are you doing?